This video will cover Section 2.8, Part 1, Operations on Functions. So we have been looking at functions. Operations on functions, mathematically speaking, means add, subtract, multiply, and divide. So anytime you hear operations when we're in algebra, those are the four things we're going to think about: add, subtract, multiply, and divide. And we're going to be doing that with functions, which we have done some of this already throughout the semester. And this really is no different than when we were talking about polynomials. Anytime you see f plus g of x, what that means is to take f of x, the function, and add to it the function g. Anytime you see f minus g of x, that means to take the function f and subtract from it the entire function g. So you're subtracting everything that's in g. Anytime you see fg, there's no operator visible. We always understand that to be multiplication. That means to take the function f and multiply it times the function g. Anytime you see f over g or f divided by g of x, that means to take the function f of x and divide it by g of x. Alright, so what I want to do is I want to go through these operations using these two functions here. So I'm going to flip my paper over to the back and show you how to do just these four operators right here using these two functions. Then we'll come back to the front of the sheet. So we're going to take function f and g, and I'm going to write them on the back. So 3x minus 4 is f of x, and then g of x is 2x squared minus 1. And so I want to take these two functions and do the four operations. So I'm going to do f plus g of x. First means I'm going to take f of x and add to it the function g of x. Alright, so f of x is 3x minus 4. I'm going to add to it the function g, which is 2x squared minus 1. Alright, and anytime you're adding, you're always finding the things that are alike and saying how many of them there are. So we're just simply combining like terms when we're adding these functions together. Alright, I have one x squared term, I'm going to bring it down. I have one x term, I'm going to bring it down. Then I have a negative 4 and a negative 1. I can put those together to get negative 5. So when I add f and g together, I get this new function, 2x squared plus 3x minus 5. There's no number to insert in there, so I shouldn't be getting a number out. Unless everything in my functions cancel out, then I may be left with a number. Otherwise, if you're not putting a number in, you should not be getting a number out. Alright, if I'm going to subtract the functions, it'll be written like this. F minus g of x means to take f of x and subtract from it the entire function g of x. So I'm going to put in f of x's place 3x minus 4, and I'm going to subtract from it the entire function g. So I like to make sure I put it in parentheses so that when I subtract it, I'm ending up with the correct signs. Alright, so this would be 3x minus 4. Since I'm subtracting the entire function, this minus sign gets applied to everything inside of there, so that becomes minus 2x squared, and then minus negative 1 becomes plus 1. And this is always a place where people get points taken off. Always have errors. Make sure you're subtracting that entire function, so every term that's in the function gets subtracted. Alright, then I can combine like terms. I only have one x squared term, I'm going to bring it down. One x term, I'm going to bring it down. Then I have negative 4 and positive 1 make negative 3. For f times g of x, alright, this is something that we did when we were working with polynomials and we were multiplying them together when we were doing a review. Alright, so when I see fg of x means to take f of x times g of x. So f of x is 3x minus 4, and I'm going to multiply it times 2x squared minus 1. Now make sure you get them in parentheses so that the two functions are being multiplied together. Alright, remember to multiply them. We take each term times each term in the second one, so 3x times 2x squared would be 6x cubed. And then negative 4 times negative 1 is positive 4. Then I'm going to say 3x, no. Then I'm going to say, well, I can do it this way too. So I said 3x times 2x squared. And then I said negative 4 times negative 1. Alright, then I want to say 3x times negative 1. And I want to say negative 4 times 2x squared. Alright, so make sure each term in the first parentheses is multiplied times each term in the second parenthesis. And notice there should be 2 arrows coming from each in the first and 2 arrows pointing at each term in the second. Alright, once we get it all multiplied out, then we're going to combine like terms. So I have 1x cubed, I bring it down. I have 1x squared, I bring it down. I have 1x term, I bring it down. Alright, since there's nothing I can combine together, this would be my final answer. Alright, then let's see, we'll do f divided by g of x. Means to take the function f of x and divide it by g of x. So in f of x's place, I'm going to put 3x minus 4. In g of x's place, I'm going to put 2x squared minus 1. Then if I could simplify these, each one individually, maybe factor something out to see if they had a common factor, I would do that. But these are as simplified as they can get, so this would be my answer. Alright, notice on all of them, there's an x there, so there's no number to substitute in for x. Our answer should be a function. Okay, now flip back to the front. Alright, so we're going to do those same 4 operations, but this time instead of an x being there, there's a number. Alright. Alright, so when there's a number there, we're going to plug it in everywhere there's an x. And so if I have f plus g of 0, then I'm going to be finding f of 0 plus g of 0. So I find the value of each and then add it together. Alright, so the value of f of 0 means to take 0, plug it in for x inside the function f. So here's function f, 3x minus 4. I take this 0, put it in x's place. So then 3 times 0 is 0, minus 4 is negative 4. Then I find the value of g when x is 0. So I take the function g, 2x squared minus 1. In place of x, I put 0. 0 squared is 0. 2 times 0 is 0, minus 1 is negative 1. Alright, now I take those two and I'm going to add them together. So f of 0 is negative 4. I add to it g of 0, which was negative 1, and that will give me a final answer of negative 5. Alright, we'll do the same thing with f minus g of 0. This means to take f of 4 and subtract from it g of 4. Alright, so first we find the value of f when x is 4. So we plug in an x. In place of x, we put the 4. 3 times 4 is 12, minus 4 would give us 8. So the value of f of 4 when x is 4 is 8. We're going to subtract from that. Alright, we're going to take g of 4. So we're going to take the function g, plug in 4 everywhere there's an x. Alright, make sure that if you're ever plugging in a negative number, you put it in parentheses when you square it in your calculator to make sure you're getting the correct numbers out. Alright, then we'll have 32 minus 1, which is 31. So I'll come back up here. So I have f of 4 minus g of 4 would give me a value of negative 23. All right, for f times g of -2, we're going to find f of 2, and we're going to multiply it times, -2. We're going to multiply it times g of -2. So I take -2, I'm going to plug it into the function f. Everywhere there's an x, so 3 times -2 is -6, minus 4 gives us -10. Then I'm going to find the value of g of -2. So everywhere there's an x in g, I'm going to plug in a -2. Alright, so right here, make sure if you're putting this in your calculator that you get this -2 in parentheses before you square it. To make sure you're getting the correct value out. Anytime you square a negative, it should become positive. 2 times 4 is 8. I'm going to subtract 1 to get 7. So if I come back up here, f of -2 is -10. G of -2 is 7. -10 times +7 is -70. Alright, lastly, we want to find f of 3 divided by g of 3. So I'm going to find f of 3 by plugging in a 3 everywhere there's an x inside the function f. So 3 times 3 is 9, minus 4 will give us a 5. So f of 3 is 5. Then we're going to find g of 3. So I'm going to take the value 3, plug it in for x inside the function g. That'll give us 2 times 9. 18 minus 1 is 17. I'm going to put this here for g of 3. Since I can't simplify this fraction any further, then this would be my answer.